Good day to each and every one of you. This is September the 18th, year 2024. And this is Ananias Grace with a coffee break for you. And isn't it great that you just don't have to have your coffee in the morning, but throughout the day, you might need a break and you can grab a cup of coffee and just sit down for a while. That's what I'm asking you to do now. Sit down for a few moments and give me your ear. I want to talk to you about a character or a Bible individual that we're talking about from Luke, the first chapter. And I'm going to read the scriptures that refers to this individual, and then we're going to talk about how we need to close our mouth. Starting at that 5th verse, it says, in the time of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zachariah who belonged to the priestly division of Abijah. His wife Elizabeth was also a descendant of Aaron. Both of them were righteous in the sight of God, observing all the Lord's commands and decrees blamelessly. But they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive, and they were both very old. Once when Zachariah's division was on duty and he was serving as priest before God, he was chosen by lot, according to the custom of the priesthood, to go into the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And when the time for the burning of incense came, all the assembled worshipers were praying outside. Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. When Zachariah saw him, he was startled and was gripped with fear. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zachariah. Your prayer has been answered, has been heard. Your wife, Elizabeth, will bear you a son, and you are to call him John. He will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth. For he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He is never to take wine or other fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit even before he is born. He will bring back many of the people of Israel to the Lord their God, and he will go on before the Lord in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of the parents to their children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the righteous, and to make ready a people prepared for the Lord." Zechariah asked the angel, "How can I be sure of this? I am an old man and my wife is well along in years." The angel said to him, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and to tell you this good news. And now you will be silent and not able to speak until the day this happens, because you did not believe my words, which will come true at their appointed time." How about that? And that's exactly what happened. Because Zechariah could not believe his ears. He could not believe what he was hearing, although he had prayed about it and probably wished this thing for years. And now when it finally happened, he loses his voice because of unbelief. He could not talk. Sometimes God needs us to close our mouths and take what he is saying to us. Now, I'm so glad that God does not have to send an angel to tell us when we need to close our mouths, because he tells us now through his spirit. And if we don't hear his spirit, there are other people who will tell us, you just need to stop talking. Now, there is a motion picture that was out some years ago, and it was very popular, and it was called A Quiet Place. Now, in order to hide themselves from the enemy, who was some kind of alien, okay, and the people They would use sign language to talk to one another. And they were careful not to even make a sound when they walked outside. They put down sand and stuff so that you wouldn't even hear their footsteps. They couldn't go but so far away from the family, from each other, because they couldn't holler and back to them and tell them to come back. It was a quiet place. And when I thought about that today, I thought maybe that's what it is that we need to do. When God gives us a promise, when God speaks something to us, it's not always for us to go and tell somebody what he said. It is not always for us to point blank to talk about it. That sometimes we just need to be quiet. We need to be in our quiet place, not open our mouths. I remember when the angel came to Mary, it said that Mary pondered these things in her heart. And it often comes back to me how, as women and as men, that we probably need to ponder things in our heart, not always to speak it out, because a lot of times, you know what, there are people who are listening and they don't have your best at heart. Now, you may be waiting for God to bring something to light that he has told you in your life. Guess what? We just need sometimes to be quiet and listen, because when you're quiet, you're hiding from the enemy. When you open your mouth, the enemy knows exactly where to locate you. And more than likely, the enemy is going to try to come and keep that promise, keep you away from the promise, throw up obstacles in your way, keep you confused, and keep you in unbelief. And the unbelief was where Zechariah went. He could not believe it. He couldn't believe it. So God had to shut him down, close his mouth until the promise happened. Because if he had opened his mouth, he would have messed it up, just like a lot of us. We open our mouths and we mess up some things. God needs for us to just be quiet sometimes. And guess what? When you're quiet, you'll be able to hear the Holy Spirit speak to you. The Holy Spirit will even be able to tell you, now you can talk about it. But until he tells you, now you can talk about it, let's stay in a quiet place. Let's close our mouths. How about that? This is Ananias Grace with a coffee break for you on September the 18th, the year 2024. And remember, we love you.